In this video, we're going to talk about how to calculate your GPA and how weighted grades work. So we'll start with your GPA, which stands for your grade point average. And how to calculate your GPA depends on the grades that you earn for each class. So every grade has a point value assigned to it. So an A is worth 4 points, a B3, a C2, a D1, and an F0. And in most honors and AP classes, that point value raises a little bit, so an A would be worth 5 points. But for right now, we're just going to go off of a regular grading scale. If I wanted to calculate my GPA, I'm going to assign the correct point to each class for the grade that I earned, and then I'm going to divide by the number of classes that I took. So let's say I'm a freshman at South High School, and these are the classes that I'm taking my freshman year. And at the end of that year, these are the grades that I've earned. If I wanted to figure out what my GPA was, I would add 2 points for a C, plus another 2, plus 4 for an A, 3 for a B, 2 for a C, and 4 for another A. And then I'm going to divide by the number of classes that I took, which here is 6. So when I add everything on top, I get 17, and 17 divided by 6 would give me 2.8. Now from here, my sophomore year, my GPA won't start over. So I'll have a 2.8 going into my sophomore year, and for every new class that I take, that's just going to keep adding to that average and changing my GPA from there. So now let's talk about weighted grades. Now, most classes that you take in high school will probably go off of either total points or weighted grades, so it's important that you understand how both of those work. Total points is pretty easy to calculate. That means that all point assignments kind of count the same, so all of your points are just added together to make your final grade. So let's say I'm taking a class and these are the grades that I have so far. If I wanted to figure out what my grade was at this point in time, I am going to add up all of the possible points, which here is 120, and I'm going to figure out how many points I've earned so far, which is 95, and my final grade would just be my points divided by the total points or possible points that I could have earned, which here would be 0.79, which equates out to a 79%. So let's compare that with weighted grades. So that means that each assignment goes into its own category that has its own assigned weight or percent to it that's set at the beginning of the year. So in the same class, let's say instead of total points, my grade is going to be calculated off of a weighted grading scale. And let's say it's going to go off of tests being 50%, quizzes 40%, and homework 10%. How my grade would be calculated now is like this. So one way to calculate it is if tests are 50%, I could do 50 times whatever my test average is. Here I've had one test so far, which ends up being a 70%. Then I'll do plus 40 times whatever my quiz average is, which is a 78%, plus 10 times whatever my homework average is, which here is 100%. Now my final grade is calculated this way, which all adds up to a 76.2 or a 76%. Now, you normally don't ever have to calculate this by hand. PowerSchool can tell you what your category totals are if you're doing a weighted grading scale, but it is important to understand how your grade can change with this. So I have a 76% right now. If I want that grade to go up, I need to either score above a 70% on my next test, above a 78 on my next quiz, and I already have 100% for my homework. So even if I get another 100% on the next homework assignment, that's not going to change my grade. So for example, let's say we take another test and I get a 50 out of 50 or 100%. That's going to bring up my test average. So now my new calculation would end up being an 83.7 or an 84%. If I get another homework assignment and I get another 100% on it, it's still 100%, so my grade isn't going to change at all. So that's how weighted grades work. I hope that helped. And yeah, that's it.